And let's look at what this Paul was saying concerning this evil and wicked man. Now he's talking here about, first he starts off with the rapture, then he starts right here in verse 3 talking about this man of sin. Several things that Paul said, and we had went through this before, but I'll quickly run. Let no one deceive you. Here's the big problem. People are deceived by what they read themselves, much less others, because they don't understand the scriptures and what God is doing by any means for that day. What day? That day. That's a reference to automatic reference to the Old Testament. Will not come. The 7-year tribulation will not come unless there is what? A falling away. Falling away from what? And who is it that's falling away? It's the people associated with what? That day. Who's associated with that day? The day of the Lord. Well, if you go to read the book of Job and the book of Zephaniah, those two books are all about the Great Tribulation. If you go read the book of Isaiah and the book of Ezekiel, those two also have it in there. Amos mentions it. Zechariah talks about it. They all mention that day or the day of the Lord. They all mention it. But do any of them mention the church? No. Then you think Paul now is going to come here with the same topic and apply it to the church? No, friends. No. The Spirit of God can't contradict himself. This day is about Israel, unless there's a falling away come first. A falling away from whom? They're going to go after the false Christ that Jesus told them they were going to say. They came after who? The one who came in his own name. So who did they fall away from? They fell away from God. They're going to run after a false God. And the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. Same thing Daniel said, or that is worship. Same thing Daniel said. So here you have God, and here you have gods, little g. See? Same thing. The exact same thing Daniel said. He's going to sit as God. See, no one else have done that. He's sitting, friends. Antiochus Epiphanes did not sit. The high priest in Israel did not sit. None of the others that came, the Romans, when they ransacked the temple, nobody attempted to sit on the mercy seat, on the Ark of the Covenant. Nobody attempted to do that. Antiochus Epiphanes, nobody did that. But this one is going to come, and he sits. Where does that come from? Why does God make this point right here? That this man here does one thing. It doesn't say he do anything else in this passage. What did he do? He sat down. Let's go find out. What does that represent? Got to go back to the scriptures, friends. Go back to the book. Look at what it says right here concerning God's king and redeemer. Look at this. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his redeemer, his anointed. Saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision. Then he shall speak to them in his wrath and and distress them in his deep displeasure. Yet have I set my king on my holy hill of Zion, talking about the temple. I will declare the decree. Notice, God is saying, I have already done this. I have given a decree. What does that mean? It is determined. This is the determined will of God. And there's nothing any event or person or demon or angel can do about it, friends. This is where your free will ends. God says, I put doors on the bodies of water and they obey me. God says, I gave a command to the fruits, the trees. You're never going to find an orange tree giving you bananas, friends. You're never going to pick figs off an apple tree. Why not? Right there. Who did that? God did that, friend. That's how sure. And I don't care if you take all the seeds together and mix them in a mixer and put them in the ground. You're going to have two different trees come up. One tree is going to bear its fruit. The other tree is going to bear its fruit. Now, they may mingle in the branches and all that stuff. Doesn't matter. The root system that's producing that is coming from that particular seed. Why? Because God set the decree. And there's nothing your will can do to change that. The Lord has said to me, this is Christ speaking, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me and I will give you the nations for your inheritance. And he did, and he will. And the ends of the earth for your possession. What earth you think he's talking about? You think Christ wants this filthy, rotten, wretched earth? It's not this earth that he's talking about. Remember what Jesus said. This world isn't mine. I'm not a part of it. If I was a part of it, my servants would be fighting for it. And they're not. You shall break them with a rod of iron, you shall dash them to pieces. Therefore, you're gonna do all this stuff. Now, watch. Let's go here really quick. So that's the start of it. And watch what he says over here. Psalm 110, right here. So I read Psalm 2 so you can see first the decree where God says, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I don't care how the nations of the world rage, whether it be human kings or demon rulers. Don't care. I had a determined decree. I have already determined the outcome. You say, I can't believe God, dude. Why not? He's sovereign. You think he's worried about us? No, man. You haven't read the book. The Lord said to my Lord, sit. What? Sit at my right hand until I make all your enemies your footstool. Quickly. Let's go to Hebrews. There's other chapters I could have went to, other things I could have went to, but I can't.